number 104. We're back. Last week we were out, did a little local speaking thing that should be available on my channel here in the next week or so, I guess, whenever they get it edited. Hopefully I didn't make a total fool out of myself. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn over to Adrian. Before I do, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're here. Number 2, follow me on Instagram at FlipmanIG. That's FlipmanIG. And Adrian's having a little technical difficulties, but she's going to figure it out because she's just that smart.
Oh.
Over to you. In the mic, please.
Hello and welcome to Flipman. What did you say this was? I just
104.
104. Thank you for joining us. It's 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, actually a little afterwards. Apologize for the delay. 7 p.m. Eastern for you Eastern people, I guess. We're back. Welcome, Ranee Kia. We missed you.
Wow, I miss y'all too.
Glad you're here. It's Adria, Ty, and Ranee, where you post your questions in regards to wholesaling real estate with the Flipman. I read them and they will answer them. As Ty mentioned, we are live across Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and sign up for the alert so you'll know when we're getting ready to go live. This show will be available again on YouTube, at which you can still ask questions if for whatever reason your question isn't answered tonight. Without further ado, I'm going to let Miss Ranee Kia make sure you guys know exactly who she is, where she's from, and what services her company can provide for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And as always, I'm so thankful to be a part of the Flippinar every Thursday. My name is Ranee Kia Williams, the founder and CEO of Fortune Key Financials. And what we do is provide capital to individuals and investors who need capital to be able to build wealth within their family, invest in real estate businesses, and start a business. But you can follow me on all social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and if you are looking to leverage your credit and get some type of financing in order for you to do your fix and flip or put more money towards your wholesale business, whatever it is that you need to be able to dump a little bit more money in.
No, go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay. And you can go to findmynextdeal.com if you're looking to leverage your credit and ready to leverage your credit so you can begin to really expand your real estate business.
All right, there you have it, guys. If you're on YouTube and even on Facebook, you can see her information right there on the screen. What I'd like to do first of all is give a quick shout out and hellos to our subscribers. So Cash Deals, West Coast, Grindhard, Akalanda, B. Reynolds, Orlando Mosquita, Jamar, Terrence, Charles, hey Charles, always here, Larry Smith, Louise Estes, Darian, Deep Breath Massage, okay, that's Sandra Lee, and Truth Seekers. Not forgetting my fam on Facebook. We have Elliot Brown, Angie Thompson, Miss Veronica, hey, Charles Hill, and Robin Taylor, Gerald Dearworth, and of course, our very favorite Facebook admin, Crystal Davis. Hey, welcome back. Let's go ahead and just jump into this thing. Truth Seekers has a question on YouTube, and she says, or he, I'm sorry, I need some help. I'm 20 and legit look like a guppy. Still, like I couldn't buy a house. Like when I'm meeting a seller, would I just say I'm part of an investing group? So I know, Ranee Kia, we always tell people when they ask us questions, do I tell them I'm a wholesaler? What do I say? And we encourage them to say, you are an investor. Own that. This is your business. But it's okay if you feel more comfortable saying I'm part of an investment firm or my partner and I. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. You have to be confident in your walk. First and foremost, regardless if you're a part of an investor group, if you're by yourself, confidence that you are who you are. I am an investor. So, but always, it doesn't really matter if you say you're part of a group, but that's what makes you feel comfortable. Sometimes when you're speaking to investors, it's sometimes it's beneficial for you to say, hey, I am representing a investment group and we're looking to purchase your property. So it makes it look like it's bigger than you. And sometimes, that's just a mental process, and it works. So absolutely, if that what makes you feel comfortable to walk up to these investors and say that you are a part of an investment group, I mean, I think that wouldn't be a problem. But always, no matter if you're a part of a group or you're by yourself, be confident in your walk.
All right, there you have it. Robin from the Natty, Larry Smith, Irvin Hiawatha. I haven't seen you in a while. Royalty Tracks and Sarah Speaks. Glad to have you all here. And Mr. Marcus, who's in Birmingham. Irvin Thomas wants to know, can reverse mortgages still work on a wholesale deal?
Absolutely. Reverse mortgages is no different from a regular mortgage. They must be paid off at the closing table. So all you're going to do is request that payoff letter, make sure the price that you're purchasing it for is more than the payoff amount, and you'll be able to wholesale that deal.
All right.
Actually just did one of those a few months ago.
Okay, let's see here. Truth Seeker says, such amazing advice. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a ton. Absolutely. That's exactly what we're here for. For those that are seasoned and those who are fresh out the gate, we are here. Grind Hard says, hello, I'm a newbie. Does your contract offer an out if the seller wants earnest money and for whatever reason the deal doesn't go through? So basically, can we get it back? So I think it's fair game to say you need to be willing to lose that earnest money.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is a risk you take as an investor. However, there is an out, but it's not an out if you get all the way to the closing table and can't close it. You're going to forfeit your earnest money. But the out is any contingencies that you put on your contract, such as your due diligence. So your due diligence period allows you to be able to back out of that contract if within that due diligence period without forfeiting your earnest money. So I would definitely say if you're very tight on that earnest money, you don't want to lose it, either back out of that deal prior to the due diligence deadline date, or right at the end of that date or before it ends, you contact you contact the seller and ask the seller if you can extend your due diligence period. But once you are after that due diligence period, it's totally fair game on forfeiting that earnest money.
And what I did was I pulled up my contract that you can access on digulator.com, where you can fill out the contract and download it, just trying to make it a lot simpler, easier for people to present professional looking documents whenever they're dealing with sellers and or buyers. And right here, the due diligence period that I added to whenever I uploaded this particular option, it says buyer will have number of days. You put in that blank there. I have it in green here, highlighted day inspection, and has the right to cancel this agreement with written notice to the seller. All right. And that's one thing, but I added this from a old time investor that used this clause in all of his contracts for years, which he's passed away now, but he was in real estate for over 50 years. This paragraph number 10, it says the liability shall be limited to the property itself and shall not extend beyond, basically saying it can't go beyond this agreement right here. But as she said, if you get beyond that due diligence period, then yeah, you can stand a chance of losing your earnest money in most cases. So that's all I have to say about that.
All right. And I always forget to give a shout out to this very important guy as well. I was going to post the link in the wholesaling group and I see it's already been done. Huge shout out and thank you to Mrs. Corian Wallace, who's behind the scenes but getting things done. Okay, let's see here. Sticking with YouTube, Dion Lewis asks, how can you look on Zillow and figure out it's a good wholesale deal to go ahead and contact the seller? And is there, oh my goodness, what happened to my screen? And is there a such thing as a house that is too beat up to present to a buyer or contact a seller?
Those are good questions. So I think the first question was, what was the first question? How they will value the property for Zillow?
Mm-hmm.
You got to take Zillow with a grain of salt. You know, I will always pull up multiple valuation. If you don't have access to MLS or a realtor to provide you comps, I'll pull up multiple websites that's probably giving you some type of valuation. But also, when you pull up Zillow, Zillow is going to have this Zestimate. And you kind of take that Zestimate with a grain of salt. To me, it's somewhat about 80–90% accurate. But what I would do is filter Zillow a little bit more. And so I can actually look on the map to see the sold, see the properties that is sold, that has recently sold around that particular subject property. And then I would kind of handpick those properties to kind of, I'll pull up each and every one of those properties that have sold around the subject property to determine if it's a good comp for that particular property. So if I'm looking at if my subject property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath renovation, I don't need to look at a new construction comp because that's not the best comp. So I would literally go inside of each one of those comps that I see on Zillow or each one of those properties. So to determine which one of those properties is morally more accurate to my property. So that's one of the ways that I will kind of use Zillow to evaluate a property.
All right. And Ty, you got any input on that?
What you want to do, the value, pretty much with any site that just gives you a value, most of the times they're going to provide recently sold, or they may term it as something as a comparable sales. And a lot of what she said there is what you're trying to look for is proximity to that property, which those services normally automatically do it, but sometimes it'll be a little off because of a very low sale in that area or a very high sale in that area that really doesn't fit the normal size house that you're trying to compare your particular property to. So a lot of times you just can't go by the value. You want to look into what other houses have sold for, how long ago it was, which you can change the filters in Zillow to 90 days to 6 months, 12 months, and so on, or whatever. And then the distance. Obviously, you want to compare single family to single family, not condos, townhouses, apartments, or whatever. So you just have to dig into the information. A lot of times it's there. You just don't automatically just want to go by the value that is presenting.
All right. And then second portion of the question was, is there such thing as a house that is too beat up to present to a buyer or contact a seller in regards to?
Well, sometimes you can just look at a house, and a lot of times where I make my decision on stuff like that is, what do the other houses look like? You know, if every other house beat up, you know what I'm saying? That's going to make a huge difference because that's what your investor's going to roll up and see. Also, if it's an eyesore sticking out in a neighborhood where where everybody's keeping up their lawns, it can be in a D neighborhood, and you're going to have pockets of any of those areas where you're just going to have those people that just care about their properties. And so if that particular house is really beat up and it's sitting there vacant or whatever, then then they're just going to boil down to the numbers again. Now, again, and then you could be in a neighborhood, it could be just really beat up, but it's going to be a really good opportunity also, depending on the numbers. What can you get it for? What are the repairs? So it's just going to boil down to that. Again, me, I'm going to normally see what the other houses are looking, because every other house is vacant or every other house is beat up. It's going to be hard to move those normally. Nothing set in stone, but normally.
Okay. Hiawatha, glad that you said you've been very busy making things happen. Your question is, and I don't even think we have to pull out the calculator for this, but you have a house that's worth $93K. The mortgage is $72, and the owner just wants out of the house. but the house needs at least 25,000 in repair, which that alone is 97 more than what it's even worth, if that number is accurate. So when you run against, I guess, sellers that just need help, that's not necessarily a wholesale deal, right? But what in this case do you do? I'm not sure. She says, I'm stuck. So you can't help everyone. Everything is not a deal. And sometimes you just have to say, I'm sorry, right?
Sometimes, a lot of times.
Yeah.
Most of the time. That's what you're not stuck.
It only makes sense if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm sorry. Yeah, I was expecting y'all to have a little bit longer answer. Okay. So no, you're not stuck, but I think I think maybe Ranee Kia, you can piggyback off of this. As newbies or even seasoned, sometimes you run across that one family that just kind of sticks with you and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do something. But sometimes there's just nothing that can be done. The best advice you can say is, hey, contact the realtor. You need to sell it as best as you can, and there's just no money to be made. I mean,
right.
As an investor, you have to be able to walk away. You have to put a little grit in it and just be able to tell somebody no.
I mean, that property at 72,000 could be a good rental property, maybe, but that all depends on the numbers. It would depend on the market rent, if it really makes sense to an investor. But is it 25,000 to flip it out to a retail, or is it 25,000 worth of repairs if you just want to put another tenant in there? So that could be attractive to a buy and hold investor. But then again, I mean, the numbers is very, very tight. So although we want to help everybody, sometimes the best case scenario is, in a scenario like this, is for her to give that property back in a foreclosure and then someone coming and scooping it up at 30,000, 40,000.
All right. So there you have it here, Watha. Just a little, and maybe that helps someone else too that might be kind of stuck in the same situation there. Sticking with YouTube, let's see here. The next question. I am so sorry, guys. I'm having the most problems with this thing. Orlando says, I think I have lost my real estate spark. I'm having a hard time finding cash buyers. I need some guidance, and thank you. Much love to your show. So I guess in a rut. Orlando's in a rut. So what do you do?
How bad you want it? That's my whole thing. I mean, in this business, and you can probably ask any business owner, there are times and moments where you go through a rut where you don't make money. But if you feel confident and you have a fire and a motivation behind the end goal, behind what you're trying to accomplish, that continue to get you up. It's called passion. You got to be more passionate. Are you chasing a check? Are you chasing, wealth so you can leave something to your family? What is it really for? And you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? What is my why? Why am I doing this? And to me, throughout my 15 years of my journey, it was always that passion that kept me going when things wasn't adding up. So I would say, find your why, find your passion, and make it bigger than the money. So you can get up every day, even though it may not add up. Because one thing I had always taught myself was, I know it worked. Why? Because everyone lives in a house. So I know it works. So it's just a matter of me continuing to move forward on this journey, maybe changing some strategies up until it just fit. But I know for a fact that everybody in this world want a house. So, to me, you gotta find that passion, you gotta find that why that's somewhat greater than money.
Okay. Isaiah Toussaint, the phone numbers I am getting on skip tracing are no longer in service. What else can I do? And he's in California.
How many numbers are you talking about that you called? That's important.
Okay. Well,
and if the number is not working, maybe you change your skip tracing software. There's a lot of skip tracing software. There's more ones that are probably a little bit more accurate, and it's going to cost you a little bit more money. Or if none of those work, then just go the old-fashioned way and send them out a yellow letter or postcard.
All right. Hopefully that'll help you there. Let's see here. D-Flex Rod Bull, who is out of Tampa, Florida, was told that I have to use the FAR purchase of sales agreement, a standard contract to use in Florida. It's 10 pages long. I want to use a more condensed contract. Any advice?
Who told you that? And they don't know what they're talking about. Who told you that?
You don't have to use a GAR, but I only really know Georgia GAR realtor forms, and they all are extensive. They're always 8-10 pages. However, a lot of that information in there is just standard. It's almost the same thing that our private ones say, with a little bit more fluff in the middle. And that's why I love private contracts, because all the fluff is not in the middle. There's a lot of fluff in those GAR contracts, but you don't have to use it.
Yeah. Now, if you're dealing with a real estate agent, then they're not even going to participate in the deal without using the approved board of realtors contract for that region or state or whatever. So, but we're talking about just dealing with Joe Blow, the seller, Joe Blow, the cash buyer. You know, you can literally write up a contract on someone's kitchen table. You know,
right. On a napkin. I haven't seen that.
Exactly. So, watch out who you're listening to, my man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
For any and everyone that wants a copy of Ty's contract, I would suggest that you visit dealulator.com, where the contract is on that screen. It also allows you to fill it out, PDF version. You can print it straight from there. Also, if you need to contact Ty, what is it, on Instagram? That they can get the contract?
Well, yeah, they can just DM me on Instagram, Flipman IG, and I'll send you access to it. The reason I'm doing it that way, I'm trying to build back up my Instagram following.
Like that.
Total transparency here.
Okay. And just D-Flex Rod, who we were talking about, that FAR contract, he says he's used your contract in Florida before, and it's worked. I had you work. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I read that wrong. He says, I have your contract, and have you worked deals in Florida that your contract worked?
I haven't personally worked, but I have students and non-students that I have.
Okay, there you have it.
Contract works everywhere.
Yeah. Proven.
It doesn't matter what state you're in.
Now, in speaking on Dealulator, which is a tool that many of you are more than welcome to test drive, a 5-day free trial, visit dealulator.com. It is a monthly subscription, but again, you have 5 days to fiddle-faddle, figure it out, see if it's something that you want to add to your wholesaling war chest. But with that, I come to a question from YouTube, which is Deshaun Knox. What is a good way to know if you have a good deal? How do we work the numbers? He's still learning. Now, you on Dealulator there, you have a calculator that helps you determine whether a deal is a deal. Just scratching the surface just to see if you should dig any further, right?
Yeah. If you go to the site dealulator.com, the video there, the first video you come to is titled Free Calculator. If you watch that video, it's going to show you how you determine if you have a good deal or not. It just boils down to numbers once you collect the appropriate amount of information.
Okay. Dorian Nance, Ranee Kia, I can't wait till you answer this question. Someone mentioned today I was speaking with. The question is, how can I prepare myself to make the most money during a recession? So there's a lot of talk, and I'm not going to say it's talk because we have financial gurus in this world that obviously can predict by trends and, you know, statistics and all of that of what's about to happen. So we're about to enter in a recession, or we're supposedly. How can you prepare yourself to make money?
I mean, that's a good question. And my answer will always be, when one thing goes up, when one thing goes down, there's something always going up. But one of the best ways to prepare yourself, and it's kind of like, you know, really not necessarily tailored towards the real estate industry, but hedge yourself. You know, If you're doing if you're in real estate, what I mean by that hedging is that you have so many different types of diversified investments going that when one of them are down, one is up, one is going up. So you want to create your portfolio in a hedge-like way where you are diversifying yourself. You may doing some flips, you may do, buy and hold, you may have a business going on, you have your life insurance policy, you have a 401k, you have all these different diversified investments that if one of them drop, another one will go up. But most importantly, I don't think we have a recession that would affect real estate. Or maybe I'm just not looking at the news.
Well, what it is that
I don't look at the news.
Yeah, we've been on a non, I guess, technical recession period for approaching 19 years, and they just saying something just has to happen or whatever. That's fine. People, okay. With recession,
don't get caught up in the hype.
Yeah, that's what I'm
because
about to
those
say.
same people in 2009 told us not to buy when real estate dropped to $10,000 a house. And we was dumb enough to not buy, knowing that it was going to go back up. So I don't feel that we're in recession. I feel like you create your own recession if that's the case. But, houses are still cheap. People are buying, and the opportunity, the wave is here. So most importantly, instead of preparing for something, ride the wave that is already here. And the wave is here. Real estate is on the up and up.
Well, yeah, if we could predict the future, we'll be doing something else. Matter of fact, you just deal with it, man. You just gonna stay status quo. Most people in the quote unquote recession, the last one, big one we had, I guess, most people still went to work, still made the money they were gonna make. They still had to pay rent somewhere. They still had to pay a mortgage somewhere. As long as shelter is not free, there's going to be opportunities to make money. It may be different, but it's still going to be opportunities to make money. It's that simple. You worry about today and making money. Save what you're making, and then when it happens, you'll be one of the ones capitalize on cheap real estate. If real estate is, how about that? Let's do that.
And that's a good one, and that I didn't say. Prepare for a rainy day.
That's it.
Ride the wave out and prepare for a rainy day. See that? We only get hurt when we don't prepare for a rainy day. So instead of blowing all your money, save and continue to, build yourself up for those rainy days.
And I was one of those ones.
I feel that you ride this wave right, you won't have to worry about another rainy day.
And I was one of those ones that I blew a lot of money before that happened. Learn my lesson. Learn my
lesson. For a rainy day. You thought every day was gonna be sunny.
I thought every day was gonna be burn your eyes out, son. I figured out there was a lot more cloudy days on its way. So you live and learn. So but hey, that's part of it. You live and learn. I didn't know any better. All I knew is I was making more money each year. That's all I knew.
Right.
That's so
invest in somewhere recession-proof type of businesses. To me, regardless of the values went down in real estate didn't go out of style. The values dropped during the recession, but people still needed houses.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Next question is a two-part question. Where do I find a list of code violations, and do you cold call probate leads?
You can cold call probate leads, absolutely. Okay. A list of code violations, that's probably on the county website. I never really looked for them.
Yeah, never really been my thing. The one time I went down there to look up code violations, the ladies were so mean to me. I just tucked my tail and say, I'll find somewhere else to find deals. What deals? And these government stuff, there's some of them that just be available on websites or whatever. It just depends or whatever.
Or just go down to the counter and see if someone would give you a copy of them.
Yeah, which they were so nasty, you know what I'm saying? I guess I could have kept moving forward and tried to dig a little deeper, but I was like, all right.
Right.
So whatever. That was my experience. But yeah, again, each county is different on how they handle that. So
it has to be public records,
Oh yeah.
How do we know we're violating something that we don't know that exists? So it has to be public records.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Michael Mendoza has probably a good question. A lot of people in regards to ARVs. He says he has a house under contract and all the buyers he sent it to says his numbers are wrong, but he's had 2 agents run his comps and they both give him an ARV of 120. So he wants to know, what do I do? Basically, if you can't trust the comps that the realtor is giving you and the buyers are saying, nah, that's not what they're going for in the area.
But he's not giving us enough information. He said ARV is 120. What's the information? What you got on the contract for? What are you trying to offer it for? What are the repairs? We still need to know all of that.
Oh, okay. So you're saying maybe the buyers aren't saying that the ARV isn't correct, just the numbers aren't adding up for it to be profitable for them.
Yeah, we don't still have enough information.
Well, and also when you're dealing with buyers like that, send them your comps. Show them your comps. I mean, it's okay to send them, well, these are the comps that I pull from, and then this house sits right next door, and this house sits, 5 doors down. And, so sometimes you have to, maybe they pull in the wrong comps, they pull in something there, send them your comps to kind of help them understand how you came up with the 125.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Giving me instructions. I can only do one thing at a time. I can't multitask.
But most importantly, that's your evaluation. And to you, 125 is what I evaluated. So you also have to tell your end buyer, you got to do your own due diligence, pull your comps or whatever the case may be. And then when they pull their comps, you have comps, and then y'all compare comps and see who comps is really the more accurate. But I mean, you have every right to say, I feel that this property is worth 125. And they have every right to say, well, I think it's worth 110.
Yeah, I was going through that with an agent today that's, he's an agent, but he's an investor and he does some himself, but he has a lot of, out of town investors or whatever. And the property, when I pulled the property up on PropStream and the county website, it gave 2,800 or so square feet. But when I looked at Zillow and Realtor.com, it says 3,600 square feet. So you say, well, which one is right? Well, I went to the house, so I know it's more than 2,800 square feet, right? And so sometimes the county will be off on that. The reason I'm bringing that up on because I had him to send me over a value, but I was just trying to make sure it's a little more higher end area for our market. And I was just trying to make sure where my numbers were coming in at right. So he sent me over what they were selling for per square foot, but based on what the county was showing as far as the square footage. I said, well, I'm showing, man, she said he couldn't find anywhere else where it was showing more. So I sent him those 2 links on Redfin and Realtor.com. He said, oh, wow. He said, well, what do you think when you went to it? I said, it looked like it's about 3,600 square feet. It's a huge house. And so anyway, that changes the things of tremendous. That's another 800 square feet. That took the price from being like 465 to like 570, something like that. So that's a huge, and I already hadn't agreed with the seller on what I was going to, put it on the contract for, and glad he signed it just before we went on. But it's still, like she's saying, you have to provide the information that you're getting, because they may not be pulling the same information that you're pulling, just backing it up. Hey, this house sold right here. It's only 0.2 miles. The house we're looking at is 1,250 square feet. This house is 1,275. You can use those. Those are the same houses, you know what I'm saying? And then being that close, you can't dispute the sales or the sales, so
right.
The comps are the comps.
Don't lie.
Okay. William on YouTube says, are there any avenues other than public records for pulling leads that are off market? So what is the best way to find off-market leads?
Off-market leads? I mean, I think that just boils down to, your marketing strategies and your marketing campaigns. Putting your banner signs out, your postcards, networking at different real groups, and skip tracing, driving for dollars. Yeah. So yeah.
So his question was, what are other ways to find deals versus
pulling other than public records, I guess.
Well, yeah. Well, you're just pulling lists at that point. They're not going to. I guess someone always could build a list that you could purchase or whatever. There's some services out there, but as far as pulling data that you're going to target, a lot of times most of us like to choose absentee. I've seen investors, they target just people that own real estate, whether absentee or not, just playing the numbers out on that. You can do it that way also. Now that's when you're actually sending them some literature, or you're making phone calls to them, or ringless voicemail or whatever. But there are other forms of advertising so people can call you. Obviously banner signs, Facebook ads, giving another run at that now. And Google AdWords. That's why I found that lead today that I was just talking about. It's very expensive, but there are a lot of ways to generate leads, man, beyond just pulling lists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From YouTube, and I know Ty often says he can tell the questions that are newbies, or tell from subscribers or from people who call that haven't watched a video. But I think it's also important for those who are just starting and who are new. This exactly what this forum is for, to answer those type questions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read Spacky's question, and then I'm going to ask another one that has something to do with it. So Spacky 82 was simply, can you explain earnest money? Who pays it and who receives it?
Okay. That's a good question. So earnest money is pretty much the money that shows your earnesty in purchasing this property, and it secures your contract per se. The buyer pays for it. I mean, the buyer put up the earnest money. You can put up the earnest money as the wholesaler, because you are the buyer in that AB contract, or you could allow your end buyer to put up the earnest money, but the earnest money will come from the buyer.
Okay, so earnest money shows that you're earnestly considering buying the property. Now, the next question that we have is going to be, again, in regards to earnest money, and this is, can I get away with telling the seller I will put up the earnest money after the 45-day period?
Oh, wow. Well, I hope your 45-day will be at the end of your 45 days should be your closing. So you should be bringing all the money to the closing table. However, if they're, if they understand business, they're going to want you to put up some type of earnest money. It's your job to determine, are you going to put up $1,000, $500, or $10? So if you have a problem putting earnest money, you may want to do a $10 earnest money, $100 earnest money, and really depending on who that seller is, they may go with a $10 earnest money. Or if you deal with most realtors, they're looking for $500 earnest money minimally. So it's all negotiable. If that seller's okay with you not putting up any earnest money, that's fine as well. It's all negotiable at the closing table. I mean, it's all negotiable upon signing that contract.
All right. What is the minimum ROI a buyer will expect from their investment?
I mean, it's kind of different when you're flipping real estate, because your ROI could be a 500% return on investment. So it's I don't think it's like a ROI. It's more like unless they're doing like let's say holding, They may looking at ROI, but with their flipping, it's just a matter of, do the deal make sense or it don't. And that's pretty much you doing your equation, your 70% rule equation to determine if it's a deal, or going to this Ty's website and doing the deal calculator and determine if you have a deal. I mean, it's really just boils down, does the deal make sense or not? But if you're holding on to a property in commercial, I mean, the cap rate can be as low as 6%. You know, on buying homes for single family, you're probably looking at more of a 12, 15, 20% ROI. But on flips, I mean, that is no cap on. It's no cap on flips. I mean, you could put up $10,000 and make $300,000. You know, to me, it's really no return on a flip. It's more, I mean, it's a return, but you don't calculate the return by calculating the return. You just determine if it's a deal or not.
What was it? What was it again?
The minimum ROI for an investor.
Yeah, that's going to vary within the business. Some investors are not going to. They're just going to have a threshold that they're not going to go below. And then some investors will base what ROI they're looking for based on the speed of how fast they can sell a property. They can buy, fix it, and flip it, because some areas are a lot hotter than others. So that's just going to vary with the individual. The formula that we use, that 70%, you know, 70% plus 30% is 100%. So the 30%, what it represents is the return over, and a portion of it represents the return on investment. And we just use a standard 20 to 25% of that 30%, and the other 5 to 10% of that 30% is for holding costs, things like utilities, closing costs, paying an agent, and so on. So there's no set in stone number on that. That's going to vary with the individual. That's just like saying what you're willing to pay for the same car that I'm looking at is going to be different. I may pay more because I want it more, or whatever. You may pay less, you know, because you want it, but not as bad as I do. So it's just going to vary with the individual, what their financial goals are as far as that, you know, as an investor.
All right. Ty, if you don't mind, can I do the math on this house and ask you if this is the thing to go after? This will be my first wholesale deal I go after. Thank you. Via IG message, if not, I understand. Well, Dion Lewis, I mean, if you plug and chug the numbers into YouTube right now, we can go ahead and pull that up on the calculator. Okay. No, he said he messaged you with them. And that way it can help someone else determining whether it was a deal. Walter Wynn says 22% is the average minimum target ROI. But again, you know, we just talked about that. Just kind of varies from person to person. Depends on what their end strategy is as well. Deep Breathe Massage wants to know, can you buy a house at auction? Is that ever a good idea? And can you flip the deal to another investor / buyer?
Oh, auctions. You have to take possession of those deals in auction. You can't not necessarily wholesale those, because when you win the auction, the money is due right then and there. The money is due like within an hour of you winning that, or within that same day. So you can, I think you would have to take possession of an auction deal and then flip it out.
Yeah, you would have to have just a special buyer that's saying just has more money than sense, sound like to me. But and lazy, what I like to term it, just a lazy buyer. Say, hey, Tyrone, I got $500,000. I'm gonna put it into an escrow account, and we're gonna go to the auction and buy houses for me. That's all that kind of stuff is gonna work. Just, you know, I know people want that low hanging fruit or whatever. You know, the auction is public. There is advertising. You're not finding a secret.
Right.
We find secrets as wholesalers in a lot of cases. In most cases, not always. In most cases, we're finding stuff nobody else knows about, right? And then we present it to whoever, and they have to come through us to get it. That's it. An auction, you're not doing that. Foreclosure, you're not doing that. Again, I know people out there smarter than me that are making that work. I'm just telling you what I know, and then something else has to be going on for those types of deals to exist beyond the norm. You know, if someone knows how to put those together, I'm always a student more than a coach.
Me too.
Okay, so going back to Mr. Ron Legend's question that was in regards to, can I get away with telling the seller I will put up the earnest money after the 45-day period? He wanted to clarify that he was referencing commercial real estate, because most brokers will not sign or take you seriously unless you put up the earnest money. So
yeah. Well, yeah.
Is there the due diligence, or would you have a 45-day due diligence?
Yeah, that's no big deal with commercial 45. So yeah, I've done
you
it.
Can definitely negotiate that with commercial.
Yeah, most won't, but enough will.
Yeah.
So let's go here. Still waiting on those numbers. ASOW Properties has given us, oh, no, not enough numbers there to see if it a deal. But let's see here. Flipman, is it possible to do a wholesale from a different state? I'm looking to do business in the Midwest and South, but I'm on the West Coast. So I think you'd say every week, just as long as you have somebody on the ground where you're wanting to target, you can do it. Absolutely. Ranee Kia, any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So, you can sell real estate around the world. You don't have to be there. But personally, I feel that from experience, you do need some type of team within, on the ground to determine if your numbers are accurate. So to successfully do it, I feel that you do need some type of team or someone in that area that can give you very accurate evaluations and numbers on your project.
All right, let's see here. How many bandit signs do you recommend putting out per week? This is Toya Tackles Deals. Like that name, got a little alliteration. I can't even say the word. That word. How many bandit signs per week?
Times.
Well, man, wow, something is better than nothing, obviously, but I guess she's saying ideally. I would recommend no less than 50 a week. If you can pump out 100 a week, most definitely do it. That would be ideally to do, but a minimum of 50 a week, a minimum. So that's 200 a month, every 4 weeks anyway.
Okay. Yankee has a question. I'm going to make it 2-part. He wants to know, how do you deal with the clouded title? But I want you to explain exactly what it's meant by a title being clouded.
Oh, how do you, what with a cloud title?
How do you deal with the clouded title? Right.
Oh, okay.
But maybe explain what a clouded title is. Like if someone says, hey, the title's clouded, what are we saying?
So basically, when the title is clouded, that means that there's liens and things on the title that the attorney must clear up to close it. So in order for you to really purchase a property, when you're dealing with a title agency or attorney, they have to clear title. So in order to clear that title, all liens and everything needs to be cleared before you take possession of that property. So it's really not your job as a buyer or investor to clear title. That's what we're paying the attorney to do, is to clear title and provide you a clear and marketable title. So I would say lean on the attorney to clear that title, or your title company to get that title clean before you purchase.
All right, thank you. When dealing with a pre-foreclosure, do you have to go through a real estate agent? Like, is that necessary? And this is from Stephen Ducote.
If you're trying to do a short sale, most lenders, and well, I don't know, they're going to want an agent involved. Yeah. But if it's a pre-foreclosure, meaning they're just behind in payments and the equity is already there without going through a short sale process, no, you don't have to deal with a real estate agent. if a short sale is not if a short sale is not a part of the equation for it to be a deal for you. So
Okay. Let's see here. Ashley Hatton says, I need help finding a homeowner. I've skip traced the numbers and they're outdated. I've even thought the owner has died or it maybe could be in jail. I've searched with no luck. Relatives are all deceased. Help. What's next? So I know you say talk to the neighbors, but I'm going to assume for you that you've done that as well. What do? You have to keep moving and just saying, oh, well, you know,
I'll go with sending a letter out, or if the mailing address is different from the subject property, maybe sending a letter out to the mailing address. Yellow letter or postcard.
Okay. Ty, any input on that? Just can't find them.
Just can't find them. Wow. Oh, man. Like I said, we're assuming you've already talked to the neighbors.
But see,
you've done a search on sites like Entellus to look at assumed relatives, and you reached out to all of them.
But think about this. So there's the house on the corner. I have that house that I'm obsessed with that I just can't find. Whatever.
Well, it ain't that you can't find. He probably just ain't responding.
Now that's different. He's not responding. But let's just put it that house has been sitting there forever and you couldn't find the owner. Now think about it. The other wholesalers tried it and they gave up. Another one tried it and they gave up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to find it because that might be my deal of a lifetime. I need to know how to find these people.
Sometimes you assume you're not finding them. Just because they're not responding doesn't mean you haven't found them.
Oh, so you just basically
exactly.
Oh, you got deep.
Yeah, they just ignoring you. Most people are going. That's why the response rate on direct mail is only 1%. Most of those, if you send out 3,000, that means 2,970 people have ignored you. You see what I'm saying?
I just need to get them on the phone. I just need to get them on the phone. Okay, fine. Such a joy. That's right, Ashley. Ashley said, I'm not giving up. Don't give up.
I'm not saying give up. Follow up is everything in this business. In sales, just in general. I'm just letting you know they have ignored you. Doesn't mean you hadn't found them. You may have perfectly found them, but that doesn't mean they're going to respond to your what's the word I'm looking for? Your advances.
Okay, Ashley, don't give up. Keep trying. Just put it on the back burner. Do not let that take up any more of your good time.
Y'all just reach out to them every couple of months. People's situations change. Today, I didn't want to sell. Don't mail me anymore. 2 months from now, I'm going through a divorce. My wife says she don't want me no more. I need to sell.
Now I'm looking for them postcards.
Yeah, now I'm looking. Dang, where is it? Yeah.
But put it on the refrigerator. All right, pull that calculator up, Ty. We got some numbers we want to plug and chuck.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You weren't ready. He wasn't ready. Okay. So this is from Annetta Barnes, and did you inherit the house? No, maybe a guy. Okay, so got a house that was inherited, $42,000 left on the mortgage. The ARV is 120. It can use about 5 to 10,000 in repairs, updates, if even that. So we're going to go with the heavy side. We're going to go with 10. And actually, this is her house. She's inherited it. She doesn't want to sell. She would like to fix it and rent it. Any suggestions?
We don't need a calculator.
I know. I didn't read the whole thing. My bad. I just saw nothing.
We don't need a calculator.
My bad. It's a good wholesale deal. You want to call me?
Is she going to live in it? She want it as an investment or what?
Well, you got to answer those questions, Annetta. So it sounds like
what will if it only needs 10, is that 10,000 in repairs to get it rentable, or 10,000 if you're going to flip it? There's a difference. Then you need to figure out what the rental rates are in that area, and boom, there you go. You can't lose on it. What is a payment on 400? Depending on the interest rate, obviously. On for $42,000, can't be that much. I assume. I don't know, but I'm just saying. Oh, that should be a good cash flow and property, shouldn't it, Ranee?
Absolutely. Easy deal.
Okay, fine. Okay, Annette, I'm sorry. I'm going on to the ones I can't put in the calculator because you already got yourself a deal. TDA wants to know is this a possible lease option. Seller is very motivated.
We don't need a calculator for that.
Okay, well, fine. Don't use the calculator. ARV is 60,000. The mortgage owed is 32.
Mhm.
The repairs. The repairs are 30. Can I lease option this deal or should I just walk away from this one? Ranee Kia, you're always talking about the end game. So the end game is a possible lease option. Is this a good candidate for that? ARV, mortgage 32 and repairs 30.
What's the ARV?
60.
How much, and he owes 30,000?
32.
32,000. And what's the purchase price?
Don't even have that part. What you got on the contract for a TDA? Well, obviously, I don't know. I'm assuming we're just gonna go with the 32. If you can get it, owner just wants the mortgage cleared out. Just wants the mortgage.
I mean, I don't see why you can't do a lease option. It's just a matter of
What do they owe?
I don't know. I feel like I don't have all the numbers that I need to have to reevaluate this deal.
All right, y'all making me look bad. Give me all the numbers before I'm gonna start reading the question.
So he's trying to figure out his exit strategy. So he's going to take full control of the property and he's going to lease it out or do a lease purchase, the owner financing. Are you going to do an owner financing with the homeowner right now?
Well, he says they're asking 32, and right, he wants to do a lease option. Is it a possible lease option deal with the owner?
How much do they owe?
32, and that's all they want.
Oh, they just want to pay off. What's the ARV?
60.
What's the condition of it?
And what is your
30,000?
And how are you going to get them paid off?
Ooh, it needs 30,000 in repairs.
Yeah, I said that.
Ooh,
yeah. It's a woo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let me just say that. Is it livable? That makes a difference.
Is it livable?
Well, now he could take it and turn it into like Ranee said, a cash flow and profit. The 30, so the owner just gonna let him make payments. Just gonna let him make payments. They just take up the payments. Well,
but the owner is looking to get cashed out.
Yeah, if the owner looking to get cashed out, that's not a deal. I don't think. With 30 in repairs.
What is the market rent?
Oh goodness! He asked one question, y'all asked 10. Who questions it?
We got to answer, not enough info. Not enough info.
We just doing 2 + 2 math. Y'all doing like 2 + 2 divide by 4 and multiply by 6.
Yeah, that's how you got to work them numbers. You got to be able to be like a ninja with them numbers.
We're trying to get them to make informed decisions. We got to get the numbers.
I can't add that much. Okay, well, TDA, you got a little bit more information.
But I personally don't think it would work because if he owes 32 and needs 30,000, it's only worth 60,000. What your end buyer most likely would not be a cash buyer. They're going to be a finance buyer, and most likely they won't be able to find. I mean, they bring some money to the table, but no lender is going to loan on a property more than what it's worth.
The market rent is $400. It is actually livable, and it just needs siding, wood floors, sanded, and appliances in the bathroom.
So what is his exit strategy? Or is he gonna hold this note for 30 years with this lease option with the end buyer? What is your exit strategy with the end buyer? Yes, it depends on, but what is your exit strategy with the end buyer?
He said the rent was only $400 a month in that area. That's tough.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
I'm being positive about this right now.
Figure out your end game. What is your end game with this end buyer? And how, what is your end game? Are you looking to flip it out? Are you looking to allow this end buyer to hold his note for 10, 20, 30 years? What are you going to sell it to the end buyer?
Executive decision, TDA is a no. It's a hard no. It's a hard pass. Pass line, check all the bits, pull the line. No. Mm-mm. 7 out. Crap.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't see, I guess you get, well,
You get from a buyer.
$400 a month, that's tough to cash flow right there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I have one that has all my numbers and I'm ready.
No, it doesn't even make sense on the buy and hold.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Welcome, Delia. It's your first time live. You're catching us roundabout at the end, and the silliness has commenced, but we're still answering questions and trying to make sure that everyone's making informed decisions about these numbers. Because at the end of the day, wholesaling is a numbers game. If the numbers don't make sense, the check don't make sense, then it's just time to move on to the next one. GSI TV has a property with an ARV of $65,000. Repair costs are $10,000.
Okay.
He's gotten the owner to agree to $35,000.
Oh.
The rent in the area is $700 a month, maybe more.
Right.
See, I got numbers for you. GK
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It works.
What we doing with it?
Is he trying to hold on to it, or he trying to wholesale it?
You tell us what the numbers say. Listen to the crystal ball.
You see the numbers here, don't you? Let me blow that up a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I can blow it up a little more. That helps.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so with this property,
right,
with those numbers, what would be the best suggestion? Is it a wholesale deal? Let's answer that question.
It could be a wholesale deal, but at the numbers that he stated, he have no wholesale fee.
All right, there's not enough meat on that bone for wholesaling. Now,
unless he get the purchase price, as you can see here, if you can get the purchase price for $30,000, you have a $5,000 wholesale fee in there. So, but the purchase price at $35,000 is you don't necessarily have a wholesale fee in there.
Ty, input?
Yeah, if he can get it for 30, get them down to 32.5. You walk away with $2,500. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. That'll pay some.
Absolutely.
For sure. So, get them down to, about 33, 32.5, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I hopefully answered your question. What is y'all's?
We got no. We got
we do, but I don't know if all the numbers there, and I don't even feel like y'all fussing me, so no. I ain't saying no.
Yeah, numbers.
No more numbers. Ashley wants to know, what's your opinion on cold texting? Not cold calling, cold texting.
You get into as long as you have you got laws against just spamming, that they consider that like email. If they didn't opt in to receive that text message, you can do a few, you know what I'm saying? You got a list of cash buyers or whatever. And maybe some of them you had never even talked to, you may have gotten it from somewhere else. You can send out a few, you know what I'm saying, 20, 30, but when you start sending out large numbers, you can get into some issues with that, with just texting without them have opted in first. So
okay, so if you can do it, the legalities behind it may be a problem, but ask their permission first. Let them tell you to remove them. Get them on there with a little something, and they have
right.
I'm just mad because you asked all these questions and got you hot. Serenity Love has 2 questions. I don't think it matters, but how do I calculate the ARV when the owner owes back taxes and mortgage? That has nothing to do with one another. The ARV is the after retail value, what the house is worth if it looks like the brand new house next door, right? Or as good as. That doesn't have anything to do with their taxes or mortgages. Is that correct?
Right. It doesn't. The ARV doesn't, but those things affects the bottom line and the profit of the seller. Okay. So the seller may decide that he want to walk away with $40,000 regardless of what his taxes say. That means that he's looking for the end buyer maybe to pay some of his taxes to maybe make that happen. So it doesn't affect the ARV, but it does affect the bottom line profit of what will go to the seller if he owes back taxes, or if he owes, or he have a mortgage. All of that will be subtracted from his purchase price or his offer price.
Okay. The second portion of Serenity Love's question, I love it. It sounds like a radio name. I need to be a radio announcer, and that's the name I'm going to use.
You got it. I see it.
Yes. Good evening. Midnight Storm with Serenity Love.
Okay.
Serenity Love. What?
Not midnight. Not midnight.
Hey, just off the top, Serenity
No,
Love.
that's her name.
Oh.
That's her name.
Stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
I'll give you credit for coming up with the name.
No. Nighttime, they make music channel person. Yeah. The second portion of her question was, how do I do a double closing with a seller and buyer without funding?
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Without funding. Well, just speaking of double closing, I had a student, I forgot to call her too. She was sitting in a closing today, and they've been trying to, get me to help them over the last couple of days with the buyer's using his closing attorney, which is not uncommon. And they didn't understand how to put the assignment agreement. So I explained to them how to explain it to them. So they finally got it, right?
Right.
So when they got to closing today, she just went up there to get her check, you know what I'm saying? But they were still in the closing, my student. And so she could hear them in the other room. The seller was hot because the attorney explained that we're paying, this person $6,500.
Oh, wow.
$6,500, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I didn't talk to her, but when she was just going back and forth with me or whatever, it's her and her brother as a team. And I was like, man, she said, what should I do with that? I said, go in there and ask what the problem is. You got what we agreed upon. And, the attorney was trying to explain that to her. The buyer wanted the house, so he wasn't tripping. He just trying to make the deal go through. But anyway, her last tip, she said, I got the check. I'm gone. So, or whatever. So she worked it out, but she wanted to talk to me. I don't know what, how it really went down, but they wanted to try to set up a double closing, but, they couldn't have done that. They was already getting brain fried with an assignment. You know what I'm saying? And so I had somebody else they close with, but the buyer only wanted to close with his people, which that's normal. That's not uncommon. And so anyway, they still close it because in most cases, she know you got what we what agreed upon. Why did she up the price? I'm not doing this for free. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that question, how can you double close without funding? That was the question.
Well, that was her question, but then I was told you only need transactional funding when dealing with a real estate agent, but not with a private owner.
She's confusing a few things.
Yeah.
You gotta have some funding. I'm not laughing at you, but you gotta have funding. That's what your cash buyer for. They're the one that is funding the deal, whether it's a double close, whether it's an assignment, whatever it is. It's funded by your cash buyer. They may bring hard money or private money to the deal. They can't use traditional financing, right? Okay, so it has to be funded by, quote unquote, your buyer, which should be a cash buyer, whether it's through their own money or hard money or whatever. So, and then being a real estate agent, what'd she say about a real estate agent?
That's why you needed to have transactional funding. But
you don't need no transactional funding for that. Not when you got a cash buyer involved like that. Well, you can still do it. You just may giving away money or whatever, but you can still do. But an agent involved, you don't really have to have that either. It's just if someone was trying to do maybe a foreclosure, then it has to be purchased first in your name, right? And then because they're not going to allow you to double close with an REO or whatever. So, what you got, baby girl?
Well, I would have said I'm in agreeing with you.
Okay.
All right, and that was our question from Serenity Love. Our next question is going to be brought to you by Rakisha Love, no relation. Her question is, see her name, Rakisha.
What's her name?
Rakisha Love. I love these names. Hold on. Can you wholesale an unfinished property? The property isn't finished being built. seller ran out of money. So we're not talking about.
That's a good one.
Yes, probably just
Absolutely.
great beans on the inside. So
I've
You
never.
can wholesale anything that makes sense.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know, you can wholesale anything. Absolutely. I mean, as long as there's a spread in there for that end buyer to still get in there and finish out that project and still make money. Absolutely.
all right.
Hey, I'm about my fat double, A
Hey,
double, my fat double,
They
A
don't wanna hear
double
that. I
snake
know
about
I
to
know you
melt
about
up
to
in
burn up.
here. I'm about to burn up.
What?
We're at the end this deal.
This-
I'm about to burn up.
I got you. I'm a fan. Hold on.
It's so cold up in this office. Where I'm office, I don't control the heat in there. So we got a heater here. We left it on too long. It's off now, but
Oh, wow.
ow!
I got a heater on.
We had one on because they'll freeze you in here. You know,
Wow.
It's,
Yeah.
okay. Ty.
Oh, I got a question too, Ty. I had someone ask me today about proof of funds. What is that website that you tell everyone?
there you go. Ooh, they are fanning me. It's realpof.com. REAL. Realpof.com, like real estate, but realpof.com.
Okay. And at Miss D, if you are looking at this show right now, it is realpof.com.
Thank
That
you
is-
very much, darling, for the lead.
That is realpof.com. REAL.
Ooh. Oh, you got it. You got it.
I got it right. Okay. That's why they call it Men O Pause. He wants to pause the show. He's the only man on the show. It ain't got nothing to do with us, ladies. Men O Pause.
Turn into a
He
flame.
flashing.
Y'all literally want to see me turn into a cigarette. I wonder how many views that'll get.
I'm on fire.
The flip is on fire. That's right.
Yeah, man. We've been in an hour and 10 minutes.
Guys, I think we've answered.
So
a
follow
lot of
me on
questions.
Flip
Yeah.
on IG
Can I
at
do this?
Flipman IG. Subscribe to the channel. Renika, what's your stuff? I'll put
It is, yes. Or what is it? It is first and last name on Facebook and Instagram. It is Reunique, REUNEK. And if you are wanting to leverage your credit so you can have a little bit more money to go out there and really begin to build your real estate portfolio, please go to findmynextdeal.com.
All right, guys, there you have it. Any of the questions that I see that quickly came in, do not worry. Ty typically goes back through the comments section and continues answering questions.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely every time. So don't feel like you've been neglected. And if otherwise, join us next week, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here, YouTube, Facebook, and hopefully really soon Instagram. We need you guys to go to Flipman IG and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you bring a friend. We have to start that account over, so we cannot stream there until we get a certain number.
10,000. So
10,000.
tell your mama, dad, cousin, sister, brother.
Please.
Subscribe,
Please.
follow. Let's get it.
Okay, guys, we will see you all on the flip side. Be easy.